You're watching Byline Wilmington on CBS 10 WILM. Here's your host, Don Ansell.
Robert Gruber, Bob Gruber, is the publisher of the Wilmington Star-News. He's joining us this morning for an inside peek inside the paper and how it all works. As I mentioned, the New York Times organization awarded two of your people, Vaughn Haggerty, who's an online developer, and Jim Ware,
correct,
who's online products editor, the President's Award from the New York Times for innovation. Tell us about that.
Well, that was for a product on our site called My Backyard. It's really a hyper-local strategy is what we call it. It's getting down to a neighborhood level, and we're aggregating information or pulling information in from, and that could be crime statistics, that could be what's going on with your roads, that could be real estate sales and what have you. We have that developed for fundamentally just New Hanover County right now, although our long-term vision is to also develop it for Brunswick and Pender one day. And it's
getting a lot of hits?
Oh, absolutely. Our overall website, it's just a
portion.
It's a portion of one of our strategies, and they did a fantastic job with it.
Let's talk about, because the editorial section is a big part of why people read the paper, I think. It is for me anyway. Let's talk about editorials.
Okay.
Take us through that process on a daily basis.
Well, Tricia Vance, of course, is the editorial page editor, and Tricia reports directly with me. And once again, as far as the topics that we're going to talk about, and as far as an editorial lies on, it's very much a mirror of the community. We really try to stay local whenever possible. We do obviously venture into state issues. On a rare occasion, a national issue, but we really try to stay within what's happening in our three-county area. Tricia, we just talk on a regular basis, so we fundamentally she'll develop the topics, and we'll discuss where we believe we're falling on that. We don't always perfectly agree on that, because going back historically with editorials, there were the institutions place an opinion. I really have a different view on why we should do an editorial. What I wanted to do is stimulate conversation. I know that we hit just the right tone with an editorial if we're getting as many people that are agreeing with it as disagree with it.
So heat from an editorial is just as welcome as agreement with an editorial.
Yeah, absolutely.
From your perspective.
From my
You like when
perspective,
people...
because what that is accomplishing is it's stimulating discussion and conversation about key issues for our community. And that's how problems get resolved. That's how our community becomes better and stronger.
Now, there's other editorials other than the locally written. There's a mix of views from syndicated sources.
Correct.
Maureen Dowd, Cal Thomas, David Broder, George Will. What goes into those choices on a daily basis? Why would you pick one? And
well, fundamentally, that's Tricia's. But my part of that is I want us to try to strike a tone between liberal and conservative. I've had people say we need to drop Cal Thomas. I've had people tell me
just the other day they've had dropped Cal Thomas. I read it.
Absolutely. But there's many readers that appreciate his column as well. So
what about letters to the editor? How are they chosen?
Well, they're chosen, and there's many more letters in the editor than what we actually reverse publish in the printed product. So there's many more online. So fundamentally, all of them will run online, looked at for accuracy. Obviously, we just do not randomly somebody to write a letter with an attacking sort of tone. But we look for quality within them. We do have a limit per month. because we don't want the same individuals to be published over and over and over. We want a wide variety of voices to be heard.
And there are always critics of the political endorsements that the paper does.
Absolutely.
What's your reaction to that? But I mean, from my perspective, it's always been a tradition wherever I've lived. But what's your reaction when you hear?
Well, and some papers have dropped political endorsements. Not many, but some have. And it's an issue that every election cycle I consider, and Tricia and I discuss. But the root reason, first off, I'll hear occasionally from readers that, well, you're trying to tell me how to vote. Well, really, when you go into the voting booth, nobody can tell anybody how to vote. It's still an individual's decision. What we are trying to do is not everybody's going to have the amount of time, and it's their full-time job to really study, look at the trends, histories, philosophies, education, and background of each candidate. So we do that. We interview them. We sit down and make a decision.
Do you think endorsements influence elections?
We hope they inform and assist some voters. But ultimately, I think the candidates win or lose their own elections.
How hard is it to find good people in your business today?
For as many individuals that are unemployed right now, on certain aspects of the business, it's very difficult. On the business side, it's probably more of a challenge because we are living in a multimedia world, and that's where we need our employees now educated. On the journalism side, there are some schools doing an excellent job
in producing
very strong journalists. And I'll give a shout out for the University of North Carolina as one of them, which we've recruited.
You mind they're pretty good, huh?
Yeah, we do, as a matter of fact.
What kind of boss are you?
I get an opinion from a lot of my department heads. I get a lot of input. There's a lot of discussion. I communicate often to the employees in general where we are as a business, philosophically, where we're headed, what we're trying to accomplish for our community. So I definitely am not a dictator, but rather a collaborator type individual.
Thanks for joining us, Bob.
I appreciate it.
And as a matter of fact, from a story I read in the Star News next week, What's It Like to Be Homeless? A young man went undercover and lived as a homeless person in Wilmington. He'll tell us his compelling story on Byline next week. I'm Don Ansel. You have a great week.
You've been watching Byline Wilmington on CBS 10 WILM. Join us every Sunday morning as we explore the issues that concern you.